Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Good morning, others, depending to which part of the world you are following from. It's a great honor, it's a great pleasure to meet you once again as the Interfaith platform, especially for youth. We are very, very glad to see beautiful faces. We really appreciate and thank God for these opportunities that He has given us. Mine is to welcome you so much to this beautiful day. Yes, I am Stephen Kezamutima. You can call me Babamiti, any name you want. I'm a Laudato Si Generation member. Very, very, very glad to really to see this day happening. As you know, it's a great day where we are commemorating 5th anniversary of Paris Agreement. We've been together making noise, advocating for climate justice. So here we are, we want to evaluate our leaders. We want really to also to celebrate, we want to share thought. I'm very, very happy to see many who are joining. I would like really to welcome you so much. Feel okay, feel all right, feel free. Wagwan, wagwan. Huh? So today we will have a great platform of arts, of entertainment, of performance, but trying to break down the theme of today, we rise again. So we've come here to rise. We've come here to rise again. We've come here to raise our voice again and say that we need climate justice. So I would like to appreciate the participants from different schools, different faiths who are joining, and especially the Office of Justice, Peace and Integrity of Creation, Franciscans Africa, Mass Education Office. Yeah, I'm seeing Bahai Faith have joined us, Franciscan Sisters and Brothers. Yes, I'm seeing Young Mercy Ecology from Sisters of Mercy. I'm seeing the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. People are joining from Tanzania. Yes, from Decolonize. Yes, we really appreciate this opportunity. I can't name everybody. We have this opportunity to appreciate you, but feel welcome, feel appreciated. And I would like also to appreciate the Global Catholic Climate Movement and the 350 Africa to make this really, to make it possible and happen. So I would like to introduce the moderator of today, who is Miss Ashley Kitisia. She's the one who is going to run this program. Miss Ashley, take it from here. Welcome everybody, and then we start the program.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ashley Kitisia. I am a law student at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. I am very happy to be here today. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful.
We can hear you, Ashley.
That's great. All right, so without taking too much of your time, I am going to be your moderator, and I hope to have a fruitful conversation today as we mark the 5th anniversary of the Paris Climate Agreement. And yeah, we can kick off with some prayers. It's going to be an interfaith prayer. Is Omar on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, he's already with us.
What about Odhiambo? Alliance Odhiambo?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Alliance, you'll take us through the first session of the prayer, and then we're going to have Anissa from Sharimoyo, and then we're going to have Sister Mary Sebastian, who will be representing the Catholics.
Good. So welcome, audience.
Alliance, please.
Thank you so much. I'm going to say a Bahai prayer. So let's pray. O my God, verily I invoke thee and supplicate before thy threshold, asking thee that all mercies may descend upon these souls. Specialize them for thy favor and thy truth. O Lord, unite and bind together the hearts, join in accord all these souls, and accelerate the Spirit through the signs of thy sanctity and oneness. O Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Strengthen the loins of thy servants in the service of thy kingdom. O Lord, thou possessor of infinite mercy, O Lord of forgiveness and pardon, forgive our sins, pardon our shortcomings, and cause us to turn to the kingdom of thy clemency, invoking the kingdom of thy might and power, humble at thy shrine and submissive before the glory of thine evidence. O Lord God, make us as waves of the sea and as flowers of the garden, united, agreed through the bounties of thy love. O Lord, dilate the breast through the signs of thy oneness, and make all mankind as stars shining from the same height of glory, and as perfect fruits growing upon thy tree of life. Verily, thou art the Almighty, the self-subsisting, the giver, the forgiving, the pardoner, the omniscient, the one creator. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much. Can we please have Anissa from Sharimoyo take us through the Muslim prayer?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Amin. Amen.
Amen. Sister Mary Francis, presenting the Franciscans.
Heavenly Father, we pray for this occasion as we pray in remembrance of Paris agreements. We pray for peace and tolerance among the regions. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Odhiambo, Anissa, and Sister Mary, for that wonderful prayer. We can officially kick off this event. We shall have a Laudato Si rap going up first, and then I will be back with more. Please do not forget to use the hashtag Laudato Si Generation and Just Recovery on Twitter as you continue to share here. You can also tag at Babamiti, at Kelele MC, and I'll post more information in the chat box.
My brothers and sisters, there's a lot of things that we are doing right in today's world, but there's also a lot of things in which we can change, and a lot of things that will lead us closer to Christ. So let's get to it. We need a wake-up call, God help us out. We don't seem to understand what life's about. I need Christ to help my mind get out of this place. We've been stuck inside a loop, all we do is chase. The watches, the cars, wanna just look like the stars. The dollar bill, thinking that will get us far. But we can't take it with us when we leave this life. I know that the truth hurts, it's sharp like a knife. We can live and pretend like it is okay, when there are people on the streets living lonely. And maybe they give more than us if they have stuff to give, cause they don't depend on things to teach them how to live. Arguing on and on, we think they're right and they are wrong. That's why I had to preach the message, say it in the song. And we don't grow if you're not together. We got one chance to live, to be with him forever. Pope Francis wrote this for us to understand. It's time to get to neighbor and to take them by the hand, so we can make, so we can take the right steps to make our life be great. Laudato Si, Laudato Si, Laudato Si, revolution. 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 We need to let go of ego till we don't know vanity. We are not God, our role is humanity. Many things have to change, why don't we start with us? But I know there are naysayers that want to discuss. Others are passive, choosing not to change all of their habits, and they wonder why they blame. And in terms of business and consumerism, I think we lost track of what's real and what really isn't. In one way or another, we all wanna see the light. So how about we start living today in the name of Christ, like Saint Francis, and let go of our possessions. Do that and see what happens to all your obsessions. Put your hands up when you listen to the song. Rejoice in Jesus' name, realize we can get along. We can replace beauty with man-made constructions. Change the way you live and let go of your Francis wrote this for us to understand. It's time to get to neighbor and to take them by the hand, so we can make and so we can take the right steps to make a life be great. Laudato Si, Laudato Si, Laudato Si, revolution. Laudato Si, Laudato Si, Laudato Si, revolution. Laudato Si, Laudato Si, Laudato Si, revolution. Laudato Si, Laudato Si, Laudato Si, revolution.
Laudato Si, Laudato Si, Laudato Si, revolution. Laudato Si, Laudato Si, revolution.
May God bless all of you, and may all of us enter into this new revolutionary idea of conversion.
Que tá filmando. Laudato Si.
Cuidemos nuestra casa común.
To make concrete decisions so as to care for creation.
Sa taong simbahan ay nakikiisa sa lahat ng sektor ng lipunan sa ating panawagan at laban para sa hustisyang pangklima. Simulat sa pool ang
Meanwhile, let me actually also inform that there are many schools present here. We have Mama Africa, which is located in Madare, and then we will have Shaurimoyo Girls Secondary Schools. They are in Jogorod. They are part of Sister Schools of Mercy. We have Huruma Girls also. They are on the same side of Jogorod. They are also part of Sisters of Schools of Mercy. We have also Ngarariga, which is part of Sisters of Schools of Mercy, also in Nirimuru. Right, we have also the Catholic University of Eastern Africa also is a part of this event. We have also another special team of the Little Sisters of St. Joseph, who will be performing from Karen. Yes, I would like to acknowledge also the presence of the Harmony Institute with us. I would like also to highly appreciate the presence of Bahai community. We have some in Kenya and the others who are following from US. Yes, and also the Franciscan Family Association of Kenya with the director present here, Father David. Thank you so much. Yes, we would like also to really to appreciate the presence of decolonize Kenya and Omar El Mawi going to be with us in a few. But special appreciation also to the Young Mercy Ecology. So I will be also acknowledging even some individuals. There are some artists who are joining individually. So thank you so much. I think Mama Africa is on a program. They are number one on program, but if they are not ready, also actually, I think for the sake of time, we will be also maybe jumping, picking the next item, right?
Okay. Yeah, can Mama Africa just let us know if maybe they're ready or not, if they still need more time?
In front of you, Mary Mudeu, Diana Sikobe, Mishikea, Atieno Ferrer, and Faustina Mwenda from Mama Africa Secondary School, ready to present for your poem. Entitled, My Sight, My Field. Yes, my sight, my field. Welcome. My sight, my field. I saw with my eyes and felt black smoke hanging in the skies of Nairobi industrial areas and the greenhouse gases. Increased intensity day after day, day by day, sickening the lungs of Mother Earth. My science teacher showed me, and I saw with my eyes and felt the acid rain, global warming and the temperature belts, the fruits of fossil fuels. I saw and felt, and I say, enough is enough. In Mama Africa, my school, I saw and felt the advice, the voice reverberated like forest echo, and in soft voice, in love for Africa whispers, my child, preach against fossil fuels, recycle, reuse, and reduce the greenhouse gases. Nature never forgives. Sun rays penetrate the ozone layer, but reflections as heat can't penetrate back. And we burn, earth burns, desert magnified. My child, carbon dioxide causes global warming like a dangerous blanket, reducing the goals which that man be charming. The voice comes, my child. Ice caps cracks and melts in Mount Kenya. Water in lakes of the Rift Valley rises, and so other lakes dry. The sea water rising, readily displacing lives, turning them into watery graves, making many disorient climate slaves. I saw it and I felt fresh air polluted, vehicles and machines emissions of perilous slow death dishes. Tell our leaders to wake up. No more time to shut up. Who says no money? There must be the will. Avoid the conduits of money to people's pockets. I saw it and I felt it. More and more resources allocated to COVID-19. Pay huge salaries. I want to see. I want to feel more flow to fight this global warming. No excuse, no explanations. Leaders, can't you implement pending agreements? Take the trumpet. Blow, blow, blow. To all to rise up. Today, now. I say consume no coal. But renewables. Wind, solar, biogas, and you know. I cry for my country. I cry for Africa. Save Nairobi, save Kenya, save Africa. For I want to see, I want to feel a better world, a better home. Thank you.
Wonderful. We have Boniface Kibaiga. He's going to perform a song. Bonnie, please.
Can you open your video so that we can see the artist on stage?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm preparing. Give me 5 seconds, please. Just 5 seconds.
Right.
Okay. I hope you guys are tweeting. I'm monitoring Twitter. And thank you, Alice, for your tweets. I think Rukia, Decolonize also, thank you. We recognize your presence online. Ras, thank you. You know, let's keep on engaging. Please share what you like, invite your friends, use the YouTube link that was posted earlier to invite your friends to the YouTube session as well.
Is everyone listening?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, you see, it pains me in the heart to see that the world is crying for help. Please don't destroy me. Have mercy. It speaks with us, but who are we? Human beings? No, I don't think so, because we are so inhuman. Every time we see people destroying the environment, it's as if they don't live in it. Remember, through it, we get something to eat, so let us be of mutual benefit. Why don't we make the world fit for everyone to live in it, rather than destroying carelessly, not knowing that the results will be catastrophic? People littering around, polluting water and air competitively, you will think at the end they are awarded trophies. It's high time we stand on our feet and try to fight this injustice. Try to make people see the importance of it, for the environment is meant to live in us, live with us, and live around us. Bonfire speaking. Thank you.
Very powerful, Bonnie. Thank you so much. Let us take a moment to actually have a speaker talk to us about the experience in fighting coal projects in Kenya. We are so lucky and happy to have Mr. Omar El Mawi from the Decolonize movement here with us. And he is going to give us an insight on how it is like to actually be on the front lines in fighting this Lamu coal project that has been, you know, media attention for almost a year now, and the progress that they've made and how we can learn from it and even join that movement to stop various projects that are harmful to our environment and that are quickly exacerbating the climate emergency, like even the East African crude oil pipeline. So Mr. Omar El Mawi, we're very happy to have you. Please take the stage.
Thank you, Ashley. And then thank you all for making the time to come online on a Saturday when we could be doing other things, you know, like enjoying with family or doing other stuff, to have a discussion about this important issue on climate change, which continues to affect us in one way or another. So that we can figure out whether even now, when we are 5 years after the Paris Agreement has been signed, are things better off since that agreement was signed, or are things different? But I'm going to take most of my time to talk about the coal resistance movement here in Kenya and what it's looked like, as well as also go through some of the challenges, and as well as also talk about some of the few or many wins that we've had so far. So if you'll allow me, I'm going to share my screen now. All right. Should be able to look at what I'm looking right now. All right, thanks. Just a second, as I get this somewhere here. All right, so as the theme correctly says, you know, it's about us rising again and taking stock about some of the development projects, if you want to call them, that have contributed a lot in terms of carbon emissions, or have a potential of contributing a lot on climate emissions. And what are some of the things that we can do jointly, all of us together, to be able to push and resist this project so that we can continue having a peace and harmonious globe that doesn't have to worry about climate change issues. So just to start us off, because most of the time we talk about climate change and we talk about issues to do with global warming, it's most of us normally think it's something that is quite disconnected to us, and sometimes it's hard to connect the dots in terms of how it's really affecting us. And we think about it in terms of what just climate change means, about how it's global warming, it's the Earth or the globe, if you want to call it, warming up, and we were wanting not to go up to the past 1.5 degrees of the global temperature. But what people don't really understand is that these are things that are affecting us on a day-to-day level basis, so to speak. So for instance, here it's an example of, I'm sure all of you heard about the locust invasion that came to Kenya and a lot of countries in Africa. So this is just one of the countries in Ethiopia where you're seeing, a country being affected, almost 1.3 million hectares of grazing land being affected, and almost 200,000 hectares of crops between January and April of this year. And you're also seeing that almost, thousands, about 350,000 tons of cereals. We're talking about wheat, we're talking about maize that's being affected. And you shouldn't stop here. You should just, understand that after this has been affected, these are communities or people who depend on these harvests to be able to feed the people and their loved ones and to sell and to make some revenue. And therefore, if all of these have been affected, then you're looking at a lot of issues to do with food insecurity, to do with people not being able to feed their families. And also, if you don't have revenue, you're not also able to have some of the luxuries like taking your kids to school and enjoying one or two things here and there. And therefore, it becomes an important thing to have on the back of our mind when you talk about climate change. Also, last year you heard about some of the cyclones that hit the southern part of Africa, like Cyclone Idai. And the picture here you're seeing, it's millions of people who've been displaced. It's floods coming to their houses. There might be instances of people losing life, and also about people losing their source of livelihoods as well. Here is just closer home, just here in Baringo. For Kenya, climate change is also a very, very big issue. You're talking about floods, you're talking about droughts that are affecting many, many people. And for the students here, I'm sure for some of you who've been watching the news, you've seen how some of your colleagues from Baringo have not been able to go to school or have to traverse through, waters and having to use boats to be able to access their school. So it's really, really a big issue and something that we should take quite seriously. And it should be one of the things that we want to find ways to resolve. And the sad thing is with climate change, one of the causes of climate change is greenhouse gas emissions, like carbon dioxide. And the sad thing is, and there's actually a UN report that backs this, which says that the people who are mostly contributing on climate or carbon emissions are not the ones who are dealing with the impacts. So when you talk about floods, we talk about droughts. It's the local mwananchi, it's the poor people that have to live with these consequences, while the rich, make sure that they are strategically situated at places where climate change cannot impact them. But even if it does, they have different ways of either mitigating or adapting to climate change. By mitigation, it means just finding ways of whichever impacts are there to be able to deal with them. And adaptation means, coming up with ways of dealing with the stringent weather conditions. An example for adaptation, I would say, for instance, if it is, flood and heat waves, these people can be able to afford air conditions in their houses. But for us, we're not able to do that. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people losing their lives and dying prematurely because of the same. Now, going to the topic in mind. So I was tasked to talk to you guys about coal in Kenya and just give some background around it. What are some of the good things we've managed to achieve? What are some of the challenges? And maybe even in the end, have some few things or wins that I would want to share with you guys. So to be able to understand the coal issue, you have to go way back since 2008 in the former president's regime, that's President Kibaki here in Kenya, when we were thinking about coming up with what they call the Vision 2030 projects. So the Vision 2030 project was one that was really pushing towards three pillars. One of them is an economic transformation, a social transformation, and a political one. And to be able to get that, they had different projects that they wanted to do around infrastructure, education, tourism, agriculture, trade, and manufacturing, among others. But with the coming in of the current president, it was now tweaked a little bit, and now they call them the Big Four agenda. And I'm sure most of you at least have heard about the Big Four agenda, where we're talking about housing, infrastructure, manufacturing, and universal healthcare. So with these projects that were being contemplated and that we were being very ambitious as a country, we want to develop, we want to move quite quickly into a first world nation. It also meant that to be able to support that, we needed a lot of input on energy and electricity. And therefore, we had to find a way of generating all this electricity to be able to do the highways, to be able to do the standard gauge railways, to be able to do the ports, and many, many other things that we wanted to do. And one of the ways that we could power this development, according to what the government felt, was to try and generate about 5,000 megawatt of electricity from different sources. So of the 5,000 megawatt, they had some allocations on renewable, they had allocations on geothermal, but they also had allocations on coal, where they were expecting to do about 1,900 megawatts of the 5,000. That was around 2013 from coal processing. And we started thinking about coal at that time because we had now confirmed through various and many explorations that we were doing here in Kitui, which is not far from Nairobi. It's about 150 kilometers from Nairobi. They discovered that coal is commercially viable. And therefore, it was important that for them to be able to mine it, that they need to find a use, which was processing it to be able to generate electricity. And after discovering coal in that 500 square kilometer area, and for context purposes, Nairobi County is about 600 square kilometers. So it's almost the size of Nairobi, where they found that there is coal in different blocks and they wanted to mine it. And there was a lot of publicity in terms of the government trying to sell the coal narrative by saying that, once they mine the coal, we're going to generate employment opportunities for the unemployed youth and people within these places. We're definitely going to improve the revenue from these counties. And they actually went a step further in saying everyone is going to be a millionaire once they start extracting the coal. But what they were not saying, and there's this statement, I don't know why people, or why they say it that way, that the devil is in the details. But you will see that the discussions on how this coal will be extracted, for instance, were never made public. So there's something that we call concession agreements, which are just simply put the contract that is signed between the government, because all minerals that are found in Kenya under our laws belong to the people of Kenya, and the person who is holding the interests of the people of Kenya in trust is the government. So it belongs to the government. And therefore, this is a contract between the government, which is the owners of the minerals, together with whoever is going to be extracting those minerals. And I know some people might be asking, why aren't we doing the extracting or the mining ourselves? So one of the reasons is it's quite an expensive process because you have to do it from the exploration phase, which takes a lot of money. And sometimes, it's almost like gambling, you either win or find that whatever minerals are there are commercially viable or not. So normally the government brings in someone who's doing this or is exploring to sign an agreement that they will explore. Once they find that the coal is commercially viable, they will mine it. And then the government gets a certain percentage of the revenue. Ideally, anywhere between 5 and 15% of whatever money or whatever that coal being extracted is going to cost. And therefore, these concession agreements have never been made public. And one of the questions that we've always asked is, why aren't they public if really these agreements are made in public interest and they're trying to help these communities? And also, people are forgetting that, these are not communities that are idle and that they're just sitting here on the land. This is arable land, it's fertile land, and they're farming and actually generating a lot of revenue from that process. And the question has always been, are there other things that they could do in this land, which maybe they will generate more than what they would be making from coal? And in a few, I will be showing you some few pictures, and I'm sure you'll be making more sense from it. Now, leaving the coal issue, I'll go to the processing bit now, where now with Vision 2030 and wanting to generate about 1,900 megawatts of electricity from coal, that's when they proposed to have the first coal plant at a place called Lamu. It's a coastal area just close to Somalia, and it's the coal plant itself is located at a place that's only 20 kilometers away from the Lamu Island, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That status is really, really important because it's a big attraction to tourism. The people of Lamu, before we were hit by COVID and also some of the insecurities, they were making more than 500 million Kenya shillings. And actually not just the people of Lamu, but the country was making almost more than 500 million Kenya shillings as taxes from whatever is being made from tourism. And therefore it becomes a very, very important aspect or something that supports our budget in whichever we need for our country. It's a 1,050 megawatt project. It's going to cost about 200 billion Kenya shillings to be able to construct and get it finalized. The construction phase is supposed to be about between 30 to 35 months. Now that's almost like 3 years to be able to construct and finalize it. And then they're hoping to have an operation phase of about 25 years, almost a quarter of a century. And it's important to have this at the back of your mind because Kenya, when we were talking about the Paris Agreement, Kenya is one of the 195 countries that have signed and ratified the Paris Agreement. And we've made commitments towards cutting our carbon emissions. And the Lamu coal plant is going to add our carbon emissions in the country by between 6 to 10% more than what we're already emitting. And this will be really, really against our international commitments of cutting down our carbon emissions by 30% by 2030. And also an important aspect to have at the back of our minds is also in the international platforms, our president has been quick to commit the country that we are going to be transitioning towards 100% renewable energy country and dependency by actually the end of this year. And we are actually in December now, so we are almost done. And therefore moving towards a coal that's going to be there for a quarter of a century won't be the best way of us keeping this commitment. So a few pictures just to show you how a coal mine site looks like. And this is on a good day. So this is when the sun is shining, everyone is happy, everyone is in a good mood, or if you want, God is in a good mood. But when it's raining or when there's a lot of wind, you won't be seeing what you're seeing here. You will be seeing a lot of sludge, a lot of dust, being flown around, which has a lot of consequences. So before we go to why we have been opposing the Lamu coal plant, maybe I would at least be fair to the other side and say why at all maybe we could entertain having a coal plant in Kenya. So one of the things they've been quick to say is, one, they're trying to have something that we call diversification of energy sources. So diversity means, having different sources of bringing our electricity. And the argument was that, as much as we have a lot of renewable energy capacity, renewable energy is, especially when we talk about solar and wind, is intermittent. By intermittent, I mean it's not available all the time. The sun only shines, from certain times in the morning until evening. The wind, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. and therefore you cannot depend on these sources of electricity in completion, especially when you want to have a certain amount of electricity always available on the national grid. But that argument has since been defeated because one, we also have geothermal as one of the renewable energy options, which is quite available 24 hours, 7 days a week, and definitely 365 days a year. We also have a lot of technology currently in terms of ways of either storing the excess electricity that you're making from solar and wind when you're making it, and then utilizing it when it's the downtime for these two sources. Also, the argument that they've utilized is it's going to be a big opportunity to generate employment for unemployed youths. Definitely the youth unemployment is a big issue, but if you dig deeper, you'll realize that the coal plant is going to employ about 2,000 people during the construction phase, the 3 years that I told you about. And most of these 2,000 people are going to be people coming from China because it's the first coal plant in Kenya. We do not have the expertise, and even their environmental impact assessment report confirms that about 1,200 of their employees will be coming from China. And therefore only 800 of us will get those jobs, which definitely means it's the manual kind of jobs. And also, if you look at some of the impacts, like the impact to health, the impacts to the environment, and the impact to the sea, Lamu is really dependent on the sea to be able to make their living. We have more than 6,000 people who are fishermen in Lamu. And if we have the coal plant, which is employing 800 people, and then the sea is impacted and it's not safe anymore to fish, then what are you telling the 6,000 plus people who have been depending on this as a source of livelihood? As I've also talked about tourism and how much it's also bringing to Lamu, and I'm yet to see any country that is using a coal plant as a tourist attraction center. Let's say, come visit our land because we have this humongous coal plant that's have one of the biggest chimneys in the whole of Africa. And then you're seeing people coming to look at these areas. That's something that hasn't happened. So both these two arguments, as much as we see some sense, but we also know if you dig deeper, we don't see any. And if anything, the impacts are more. And therefore, moving on to my concerns, and Ashley, because I know I start on time and I am not looking at any watch. So if at any point I've gone past my allocated time, let me know. I don't want to eat on other people. And I also know that whatever I'm talking about is the less interesting thing. We definitely want to move on to poems and songs. So some of the concerns we've had is one, you cannot have these big projects without consulting the public. By the public here, I mean, all stakeholders, including the youths. And it's really sad that, our someone said that the biggest person who keeps breaking the law, or the person who breaks the law the most, is the government, or the people who've actually made the law. Because it's the same people that are coming up with projects without consulting these communities and people who are being affected. They're the same people who, just hold small meetings to tick the box, and in a big way, bringing all these projects. And if they do not in any way improve the living conditions or the lives of both the communities in these areas and Kenyans, it becomes a big issue. There's the issue about free, prior, and informed consent. It's an important issue, and it's really important when you're doing any project. It's not about coming to the community and telling them this is what you're going to do. What are your comments? The people give you the comments, and then you say, we've had the comments, we've considered them, and we've decided to proceed. It's about telling these people everything, the pros and cons of having such a project, and allowing them to make an informed decision of whether they want this project or not. And if they say no, then you should not try and find ways of forcing these projects on them. The issue about social environmental impacts, definitely, I won't talk a lot about this, but you all know that coal has a lot of impacts to the environment and the society. There are the issues to do with health, and this comes from the emissions that are coming from the plant. So when you burn coal to produce electricity, what happens is the coal itself emits certain things, including nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, among others. And these have serious health concerns or consequences when they get out into the atmosphere and we breathe them in. And then it becomes a big problem to us. And the sad thing is our laws only ask the project proponents to do the project, and the only cost that they have to have is the cost of having the project. But the health concerns and the health costs that will come from here, because if you get sick, you go to the hospital. If you go to the hospital, you will pay your bills, and you're paying for something that you did not in any way cause or contribute in its being caused. There's also the issue about air pollution. So there's a report that has been done, and I'm happy to share with anyone who wants to read more on this. So coal also has a significant role on air pollution, which can cause a lot of premature deaths and a lot of respiratory ailments to people who are living downwind from the coal plant site. There's the issue about climate change. I've already talked about this, that we've signed the Paris Agreement. We've sent our national determined contribution, our carbon emissions that we want to do every year. And we're still moving with a coal plant. And this is completely against our commitments that we've made to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And finally, the economics, sometimes you take risks because there is a bigger reward. So you might want to take a certain risk, like I don't want to say lying because I don't want to convince people to lie. But say you say I won't eat one of the meals in my day so that I can cut my my body weight, or at least become healthier. And while it's a risk because you're definitely starving, you need that energy to be able to get you through the day, but at the end of the day you're going to get some benefits. But for this coal plant, with all the impacts that I've talked about, we're not going to be getting anything from it. So it's going to be, one, we're having an overcapacity of electricity in Kenya, so we won't be using it. And two, the way these power projects are constructed, or the agreements, the way they are, is you pay for them whether you use them or not. So these guys are going to be paid about $360 million. That's about 37 billion Kenya shillings every year, just to have that coal plant there before it's even generated any electricity. And what that means is, some of you might say the government will pay, but the government doesn't have a tree where money grows. When they need their money, they come back to us. They either tax us more or ask for aids, ask for reliefs and contributions from other countries and loans to be able to pay this money, and therefore it becomes a huge burden to us. So almost finishing, in terms of how have we been able to do this? So the way we've done it is four-pronged, or 4 different kinds of strategy. One, making sure that the communities that are being affected the most are the front line and the people who are pushing the campaign forward. By this, I mean, they become the engine. They mention the issues and where they are and pushing against it. 2, a lot of lobbying. So having these discussions with both the government and as well the financiers, because these projects, you're not able to do them. You still have to get loans from other governments and from other international banks. And having this discussion with them, sometimes you're able to convince them to withdraw the funding. And even if the government has everything that they need to proceed, if they do not have the money, they won't have the project. Thirdly, utilizing different legal ways of trying to stop this project. So, for instance, going to court and challenging the legality of having these projects, which we've been able to do successfully. So that last year we were able to get a good judgment cancelling the Lamu coal plant. And finally, doing a lot of communications, both on social media platforms, on the traditional media, to be able to get to more and more people, because most of the people who are part of the campaign are already with us, and they definitely are converted. And that's why it becomes important, even with us, for those who are already climate activists, you're already, convinced that climate change is real, then it might be a waste of time sometimes just talking between us. Let's also try and reach out to people who might think climate change is not real or it's not really a problem, so that we can convince them. And the only way in winning is by adding our numbers and having more and more people convinced. Setbacks. I'll just have 2 other slides after this and I will be done. So on setbacks or challenges, if you like, I definitely mentioned that this is the first coal plant in Kenya, in East Africa. And therefore it was because we were litigating how our court processes work, is those people who go to court have to prove their case. And therefore all the experts have to come from you. And therefore it became a very, very big cost to find these different experts, you know, from different parts of the world. We had people coming from South Africa, China, Australia, US, among other countries. And these people, you know, as much as they want to help you to win your case, they definitely won't want to use their money to be able to travel here. So you have to find a way of bringing them here. And then definitely this is one of the reasons why we are thankful to people like 350, you know, and others within our membership who've been able to support these huge, huge costs to bring these people here. This has also taken quite a while. And therefore it's been a big, big challenge to continue the consistency and people taking it serious enough. And finally, the aspect of, you know, you cannot oppose something if you do not have the facts to back you. And one of the ways the government has been very good at is concealing this information from us. And when you say coal is bad, they will ask you, you know, you're saying it from what? You know, we've seen all the agreements and all the documents, and we know that we have a good plan of helping our country and the people of Kenya. So after all that, so what are some of the things that we've really been able to gain from this? So one, we've been able to get a lot of publicity and media coverage, negative coverage on the coal plant and the coal mine as well. For instance, you're seeing here, I hope you can see my arrow. This is a report that was done, which got a lot of interest from our media, where it was analyzing the Lamu coal plant, the economic analysis of the Lamu coal plant. And it advised that having the coal plant will be very, very expensive for Kenya, because we're going to be paying more than 37 billion Kenya shillings every year. This is another good media report, and you're seeing some few photos on protests. Some of you I'm sure were there. We were not doing climate march, among other different things. And finally, is the fact that by being consistent and pushing and having all of you supporting us, we've been able to get most, if not all, of the financials of the Lamu coal plant to withdraw. We've had, you know, a Chinese bank called Industrial and Commercial Bank of China withdrawing from the Lamu coal plant. The African Development Bank withdrew from the Lamu coal plant. We saw General Electric announcing that they will be leaving new build coal. And we've also had a very, very big win in court. And therefore what this means is, and to just finalize this discussion, is the fact that many a times when we are opposing or pushing towards getting justice, we might feel disheartened, we might feel that we do not have a way to win because it's just the few of us versus people who have billions and billions of shillings. They have a lot of sway within the government, and they're able to bulldoze these projects through. But this is a really, really good example to show that if few people are determined, you are resilient, and you keep pushing for what you believe in, it's definitely something that can be won. We have many, many examples even within the religious scriptures. Yeah, you know, Jesus didn't have 1,000 disciples; it was just 12, if I'm not wrong. And these are the people who changed the world, and it's one of the reasons why we have the message, you know, everywhere else within the globe. And no one in this world has not heard about Jesus or Muhammad, and it's one of the reasons why they've been able to sustain it, because, you know, they believed in what they stood for, and they continued doing it. I would stop here. I'm hoping that we'll have some sort of engagement. Feel free to ask any questions. Looking forward to the interaction. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omar. You have really touched on all the points that affect this climate justice movement, and especially in Kenya. We began with talking about the locusts and Baringo floods and other extreme weather changes that have really affected our country. We've talked about the economic aspects of coal mining and the journey since 2013 to date, and how much you've achieved, and sort of like the strong aspects and also the drawbacks of the whole procedure. Someone pointed out that because of the children in high school, maybe there was a bit of a challenge with the words, but simply put is that there are so many issues that come into play when someone decides to, or people decide to take an action against a big project such as coal mining, and it involves the people at the grassroots, it involves governments, and also it involves the non-governmental sector. And all these people have to work together in order to make success in terms of implementing the Paris Agreement, for example, which Kenya is really a part to. So thank you so much, Mr. Omar. Also, if anyone has a question, I feel like Mr. Omar will not leave the chat very soon because we're pressed for time. You can just quickly send him a message or message in the chat box, and we will be happy to respond to you with answers to any queries you have. Okay, someone raised their hand. Eric, let me spotlight you very quick. Eric, did you have something to share? All right, I guess you'll just type it in the chat box.
Yes, so hello everybody, and thanks for the opportunity. I hope I'm clear. So, this is my piece, Interfaith Poetic Forum. Unaweza nita Eriko ama Rasomothoni, Queen na Hananga Drama. Asanti mama kwa kipaji. What shall I do to ensure that green has a purpose, or rather has a meaning? Let me narrate for you a story. No. Let me project for you something. No. Let me try and fix my voice and sing. No. Instead, let me just put it in a simple, poetic way. I'll take you all through a journey which began quite some long time ago, maybe enzi ya Kinankaiseri, or maybe when you were Shamaliza na Matiang'i, na juu ya kimchezo Amina, or maybe soon to come, let me speak of the Magohas. 254 is my nation, Jamhuri to all. So let me take you through the education journey. We are all aware that the main aim of schools is to educate, and peace is done by being taught different subjects. For today, let me speak of agriculture. Kenya being my motherland and roots, I hope I will recall what I was taught, mainly trying to impact. Proudly Kenyan, so I want to set it high and start it from our national flag. Black represents personality, white represents peace, red represents bloodshed that was shed during or rather before independence, and green represents agricultural growth. As for today, I want to major mainly on the green. My main question is, are we growing? If not, what has to be done? What has been done? What has not been done? And by who? So that we may ensure that we have constant growth. My greatest hope at some point is to get an award, national, maybe before becoming international. Of course, my prayer, the Nobel Peace Award. I got several mentors and mentees, but for this forum, allow me to speak of Wangari Maathai. A queen she was, a queen she is, a queen she will forever be. We can testify she fought a good fight, and among her wins are the Global Roll of Honor, the Golden Arc, the Hollister Juliet Award, Wango Environmental Award, just but to mention a few. The Nobel Peace come 2004 graced it all. Congratulations, keep resting in power. But we can testify that it wasn't an easy fight. She was a leader, always on her feet. The journey hadn't been easy. She underwent much rejection, torture, and worst got to worst during her assassination, mainly because she was the voice of the voiceless. I hope justice will prevail. But what did the government do in order to ensure that justice for Wangari Maathai prevailed? Or maybe did it have a hand in it? A question I'm hoping to get an answer soon. I will also be sure that in order to fight a good fight, you wouldn't be alone. And that's why I recall some members like Vandana Shiva, David Suzuki, Greta Thunberg, just but to mention a few. Keep resting in power. All had one plea, retain green, and by this, growth will follow. I question myself, why? Could it be because they were trying to curb a future problem? What problem? Maybe poor governance, deforestation, plastic pollution, air pollution, food wastage, agriculture, just but to mention among the things they tried to fight for. Who should have listened to their plea? Who silenced them? We all agree that even if you don't eat a lion wouldn't spare you if it came across you. Just because you don't take interest in politics, it doesn't mean that politicians won't take interest in you. We agree that politicians are greedy for their selfless gains, greedy just for themselves. But indeed, let's recall and let's not be silent. Tujiangalie, tuko pabaya kuliko jana. Let's not be selfish. I want to win this, but I can't win this by myself. You also have to support me. You also have to help me in order we can ensure that our green in our national flag has some meaning. Our green is going to become a home for all. So maybe if I were a leader, these are the simple things that I will do. Start by protecting our forests, the water catchment areas, ensure that there's no food wastage, prevent biodiversity loss, prevent plastic pollution, ban coal companies, boost agricultural projects and as well as production, plant trees in my area, and educate my citizens on the importance of this green movement. This could only be possible if I had good governance skill, of course, high penalties on the breakers of the law, and this should also imply to me if I will chip in and be just as the normal politicians, corruption taking the lead. So I will be sure that corruption will not click in my mind, as well as corrupt leaders will also not work with me. Eventually, I would say I fought a good fight, not for myself, not for my self-gain, but indeed for the good of all. With this, I just hope to attract one. Remember, good attracts good, but remember the opposing force have some powers, maybe monetary powers, maybe executive powers, maybe industrial powers, but I believe by the end, 1 + 1 = all. By this, the green in our national flag will have a meaning, putting God first. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, as long as you are on the move. God bless. Nezanita Eriko, Amaraswa Mothoni, na Hananga Drama. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ras. It's a very moving piece. We appreciate. Someone says that was lit. Thank you so much. You're very talented. Keep up the good work. To appreciate, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot we were appreciating our speakers and our performers with the snapping of the fingers. So if you really enjoyed, please join me in snapping for all the people who have spoken and performed for us so far. We're very thankful. Can we please have Huruma girls with their speech?
Good afternoon. I am Bianca Wangalwa from Huruma Girls, and this is Vidiana Andanje, my colleague student. We have a short presentation, and this is my pleasure to be in this conference.
For it has provided a ground on which to renew old friendships, make new ones, and to learn from the vast array of viewpoints we present.
Kenya is a great country with great resources, including coal. We would like to say the effects of all this in our country and how it has not benefited us in any way. Thank you for listening.
We're going to start about the tallow oil. The company in London known as Tallow Oil that discovered oil in Turkana. which will generate up to 12 billion Kenyan shillings. But the question still remains, after the exploitation of this oil, because I believe it already started, where did all that money go to? Because I believe it was a Western country, yeah? It's a Western company, but yet Turkana still remains underdeveloped, like greatly. Those people are suffering. There's widespread famine, and you're all witnesses to that.
The company did not employ the locals who really needed the money to keep them armed. This is evident in all ways in our country.
There's something called the Lebellion of 2012. It draws out a paradoxical link called the resource curse. I'm not saying that oil endowment is a curse, but oil itself is a curse in that on the high premiums imposed on it by globalized capitalism, spawning contradiction and inequalities, which is then fed by the greed, the insatiable greed of our leaders, who even if we cry to them, they turn a deaf ear to our plea. As in, you go to them, okay, I can say they really don't care, but even if they do, I think they care carelessly. Because you bring something to them, they give you very petty answers. It really doesn't make sense.
Secondly, I would like us to discuss about Mombasa. Mombasa, there was a discovery of lead, which negatively impacted the people in the villages. This visitor came in and the lead really separated the people from their homes and from their children.
Okay, to touch on that, it went against the declaration and petition right of a clean and healthy environment as guaranteed by Article 26 of the Constitution. This was the Owino Uhuru village in Mombasa, whereby there was a nearby smelting of lead, which in turn caused air pollution and contaminated the water. It affected the villagers in that there was a vast number of deaths, miscarriages, and diseases. I mean, where was the government to look at that? First of all, why let a smelting factory be at a residential area? Doesn't work like that. So I think the action to be taken against these people should be jailed, as in it's just illegal. It doesn't come like that. So I'm talking as an environmental activist. Call me the East African Enric Boko. So trust me on this. You people should really take the chance to touch on that issue because it's way too quiet and something has to be done. We've lost a lot of people, and I really don't encourage that. We can call this a form of neocolonialism, should I call it that? In that the resources are in our countries, yes, the Turkana oil mining and everything, but we still remain underdeveloped. The revenue goes out there to the Western countries. Does come to think about that? Let me ask you, if it were you, how would you take it? Would you employ like the Westerners to mine the resources? Makes sense. And where is the government on this? Why is it so quiet? Could it say it's because of greed? I don't know. Corruption? I don't know where all that comes. Or should we say that we are our own enemies? Can be. Because we do not stand up to all these things. We are way too quiet. What are we afraid of? Nobody will put you down for standing for the right thing. There is no way. It doesn't work like that. I hope all of you get me, right? So kindly, please take note of everything that is happening. Okay, let not Africa experience, like, as I said, the resource curse. Okay, the exploitation of resources, we don't benefit from anything, we don't get any revenue, no wonder our economic development is just way too shallow, way too down there. Doesn't make sense. Okay, we are the youth and we are able, we are the voice of today. What hurts me most is those miscarriages at Mombasa. What will have those babies been? But due to smelting of lead, due to some selfish people who didn't care on how they dispose of the emissions from the factory, which in turn contaminated the water. And something on that reminds me, funnily, or should I say ironically, sarcastically, the people preferred sleeping outside because of the fear of being poisoned by the gases emitted from the lead in their houses. Now I was asking myself, which is more safer, being inside or outside? Are we going back to being animals, sleeping outside? Does that really make sense? Where will we go? If the inside is not safe, the outside is not safe, where are we supposed to live? All because we are quiet. And we go to they have a mineral known as coltan. It is used in the production of mobile phones. See, it's the same case as us. The Westerners, mostly, they exploit the mineral, but they don't benefit from anything completely. So you see, the problem the African countries are experiencing, I wouldn't say that we don't have enough capital, because I believe we have the brains. You see, the Homo sapiens, the Homo habilis period is over. Our intellectual ability is way up there. We can do what the Westerners do. It ain't impossible. If they did it, we are human too. Should I call it racism? Not necessarily. But it's about time we stand up. It's about the brains. We have been given the mentality. So just give it your best. I know I'm speaking to a forum of young people, middle-aged, I don't know, but we can do this together. Nothing is really impossible. Thank you for your time and have a beautiful Jamboree Day.
Thank you very much, Huruma girls. You have captured all the things that make us angry, and you have reminded us why we need to take action. We're very thankful, and we shall keep up the good fight for you and for generations to come. Thank you very much for voicing out all your concerns. Is Rukia on board? We would like to invite our guest of honor, Rukia Ahmed from OLM Shauri Moyo.
Before Rukia Ahmed presents, I would like to introduce her in a special way because she's our guest of honor. As you know, today it's a special platform for young people. So that is why we have a special young guest of honor. And yeah, you know, in this movement, we are trying as young people to own the present and to build our future. So that is why we don't need big pictures, we don't need big other titles, big men, the women to come and dominate in this discussion, but let young people own this. So Rukia, welcome. Let me inform people that Rukia is the head girls in their school, the Shauri Moyo Girls Secondary School, and she's also the chairperson of Environmental Club. Rukia is also chairperson of Muslim community or club in their school. She is also the organizing secretary of peer counseling. You can see, you can hear that it's not just simple person with us here. She has all those responsibilities, all those titles. So it was worthy for us to have her. And we are honored, Rukia, to have you today as our guest of honor. And you're most welcome. Share with us what you've prepared for us. Welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Honorable leaders, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow students, good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the moderator, Steve, for giving me this golden opportunity. I'm Rukia Ahmed from Our Lady of Mercy, a Form 4 candidate. And first of all, I would like to wish Kenyans, wherever you are, happy Jamboree Day as we celebrate our 57th year of independence. I'm still afraid that we have been a slave to climate change. We'll come to that in some minutes, But first, I would like to introduce my colleagues here. On my right, Faith Akinyi, who will be giving a motivational speech. And on my left, Lavenda Hamza, who will also present a poetic scheme on climate issue. Behind there, we have Catherine, Rukia, and Anissa, who are students of us. Lavenda, you may start.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lavenda Hamza from Our Lady of Mercy, as you've been told. Yeah, and I have something small for everybody, and I hope it will encourage most of you. And it's about the young generation, and it's about all of you because most of us are in high school or still in school. Okay, so we are vigilant today than before. Are not fossil fuel because it affects children's future and it's a violation of people's rights. Africa needs energy, and not just energy, but clean, renewable energy. And in as much as we want the government to intervene, in as much as we want the leaders to intervene, the ball still comes back to our court. What are we as the youth and teenagers doing? Are we just on our online platforms and campaigning against global climate, against projects concerning coal, or are we also living by what you say? Are we practicing what you say? Are we not only talking to the people about what you want them to do, or are we also living by it? I'd like to encourage most of you to stand up and speak out loud. Don't be afraid about what your neighbor is going to say. Don't be afraid about what they're going to think of you. At the end of the day, it's all about you. And because it affects most of us, nobody will be there. Nobody will be there when it's affecting you. And most of us think that you can't speak out because it's not affecting you. But at the end of the day, you remember that it's affecting another citizen out there, another young person out there, another person who has dreams just like you. And just because they are vulnerable and they don't have a voice, you should be able to speak up for them, you should be able to stand up for them because they obviously can't or they don't have the platform. And because you have the platform, you should be able to speak out for them. So we cannot redo the mess done by the Wazee who ignore the rights of the next generation. Let's level up and fight for our ecosystem. Let's be the change that you want to see. We want to stand for a just recovery, right? Then let's support young leaders who are campaigning against fossil fuel and coal projects. And above all, let's pray, and I repeat, let's pray that God forgives us for misusing and exploiting our ecosystem. It came to a blessing to us, but yeah, for now, it's not a blessing because we have exploited it, we have misused it, and we're not even speaking about it. Everybody is silent, sadly. I am Lavenda Hamza. I am a teenager, and I'll be the voice of other teenagers, the youths, and the children, because I am fighting against global warming. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lavenda, for the wonderful poetic presentation. Faith, you may proceed.
Okay, my name is Faith Akinyi from Our Lady of Mercy Girls High School, Shaurimoyo. I'm a Form 4 candidate 2018, and I have a small presentation to present, and it's a motivational speech about climate justice for peace, climate justice for the poor. First, what do we understand by the term climate? The regular pattern of weather conditions of a particular place over a long period of time. What we don't know are the injustices that we are doing to all the plants and living creatures in a particular area by considering their effects on the physical environment. Here, we as human beings are said to be ecotourism by doing violent activities which are harmful to the environment. Therefore, we cannot fail to discuss issues relating to the environment and climate at large. There are a lot of injustices that are doing to the climate and making the poor suffer. Why do we do this? What we should do always understand is every time we make decisions, we should ask ourselves, how will this decision affect the people? One thing that leads to climate injustice that I would like to talk about is air pollution. This is whereby human activities such as mining and industrial work causes pollution. Industries deposit chemicals and waste products into rivers, lakes, and oceans, and still emit poisonous gases which cause diseases such as chronic coughs, tuberculosis, lung cancer, and thus even leads to death, whereby the population of our country decreases. And then due to air pollution, the poor suffer as much as the earth, and they lack a person to stand and fight for them. We should march on with them to fight for the climate justice for the poor. There is also the greenhouse effect and global warming, whereby increase in temperature of the Earth's atmosphere in air surrounding the Earth, which traps the heat of the sun, leads to rising of global temperature that will especially affect us. The poor suffer because at times the climate injustice done to the ecosystem leads to severe drought and famine that may even cause them to have malnutrition and diseases which may even lead to decrease of the growth population. The injustice that we are doing affects the poor negatively and strongly. By coming together and connecting the dots as a team in peace, love, and harmony, we can be able to stop the injustice done to the poor and the climate. If we use byproducts that can be recycled or reused, we can reduce the waste being deposited in lakes and the gases emitted, hence creating a conducive environment. Youth can be agents of mercy, peace, and social justice if they share positive thoughts. For the world's biggest power is the youth. We all have the right to live in good and conducive environment that has favorable climatic conditions. For change will not come if we wait for others to act. We are what the change is waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. So now I would like to start my address. Today, the 5th anniversary of the Paris Agreement. I am very saddened. I am feeling a lot of pain in my heart. As a young person, I always had this fear in me, these feelings within my heart that I always wanted other people to see the pain the young generation go through due to climate change. As a young person, every time I wake up, I am not sure about my future. But then I'm reminded of the Paris Agreement. This Paris Agreement, whose central aim was to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change by keeping a global temperature rise this century below 2 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And presidents of 159 countries pledged to make it as they signed the agreement. But then, 5 years down the line, we're not seeing the leaders formulating and implementing the laws that they have signed. Why do we care about global warming? What its effect, and who does it affect the most? Human Rights Council recognized the impact of climate change on human rights in 2008, acknowledging that climate change poses an immediate and far-reaching threat to people and communities around the globe. It has been said that this global warming is a result of rich people continuing developing industries that contribute to global warming due to the release of carbon dioxide, which is major greenhouse effect that contributes to this climate change. This is what I call climate injustice. The people who are polluting the climate the most are the ones that suffer the least, and the poor who do not even own the cars, the aeroplanes, the industries are the ones to bear the pain, to suffer the most. Ask me, for I know what it means to stand under burning heat, even at night. For me, I come from northeastern part of Kenya, Nairobi here. I'm here to study, but back at my home county, I know what it means to feel the pain of burning heat. Have you ever been to somewhere where you don't own a blanket, where you don't know a sweater, for you will never come across any cold season? You won't know the difference between January and July, August and December. It's all the same for you. Such people, the vulnerable communities, are the ones that have to suffer the impact of climate change, while the people, the rich, the so-called powerful, are the ones that are freely walking, moving with their vehicles under the burning heat. They have air conditioners in their house. For the voiceless and the poor do not have air conditioners. They can get cold drink anytime they feel like. But what about the people who don't even have, who cannot even afford 3 meals a day? What about them? What about the young generation who are supposed to concentrate on their studies and get good grades in their academic so that they are able to improve their life? For example, I have been a hardworking student in school, but some of my fellow students thought that I will not be concentrating on my studies if I keep on striking for climate action. But then the question I ask them is, what future am I studying for? If the same future I cannot see it, the leaders have failed us. I'm sorry to say that. They have failed us for number one. When they make policies, they are discriminating. At times, they make substandard policies. For example, here in Kenya, some years back, the plastic papers have been banned, yes, but still, there are certain types of plastics that are still used. Biscuit wrappings, plastic bottles, and some other plastics are being used. But they say that plastics are banned in the country. Let me take you back to this story. 2 years ago, back at my home county, it was on the August holiday, my grandmother sent me to buy milk for her. She called me when I was at the market and she asked me to buy a liter of milk for her. Then, knowing that the year before that year, plastic papers have been banned, I went to the milk vendor and asked for a liter of milk. I was surprised for her to remove a plastic paper from her bag and put the milk inside. At first, without thinking, I was like, excuse me, aunt, why are you using plastic papers and they have been banned by the government of Kenya? She almost cried. She told me, young lady, listen, reach my age and be in my shoes. You will know the pain a milk vendor goes through when she doesn't get customers. She asked me, do you have a container where I will be able to put this milk in? And I was like, I wanted to give the excuse that my grandmother just asked me to get the milk when I was already at the market, but something touched my heart. I felt guilty. And then she told me she has 6 kids back at home, a single mother she is. And the only source of livelihood is that milk. And I'm like, if now she's not able to get any container, to buy containers so that she's able to sell the milk to the people, and the government has not taken any measures to ensure that these people who cannot replace the plastic papers, with anything that is non-pollutant, how are they supposed to survive? I felt her. And at the same time, something came back into my mind. Where is the same government that formulated these policies? They have been banned, yes, but they're still in the country, everywhere. Some people are smuggling them. They have been, no one is taking action against them. Why? Where are the securities or the agencies that are supposed to stop any illegal thing that is supposed to be coming, that is not supposed to come into the country? Where are our policies? Where are our ethics? Why is corruption taking our root? Today, I don't want to any longer speak about planting trees. Yes, planting trees is good, but we need to have a conducive political environment so that we have a better physical environment and social environment. So today I want to raise my voice for climate justice. The viewing of climate change as an ethical and social political issue rather than just the physical and the environmental issue. My sisters and brothers, I know our leaders have failed us. I know we're not getting what we want from them, but is it the time to sit back and just do nothing? Is it the time to give up? Is it the time to keep on waiting for what tomorrow will look like? Or you want climate change to just directly affect you more and more, that you're no longer existing? During the holiday, I came across the story of the late George Floyd. I saw his video clip as he begged for his life. I can't breathe. I can't breathe for 8 minutes and so. The same video reminded me of the sea creatures, the water body creatures that are begging for their life. I know human life is very valuable, but injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Let us not just concentrate on human life. Let us look at the other creatures as well. I know as a human being, we cannot bear the pain of a scratch. We feel that pain. For you to feel the pain, you have to go through it. But for me, I feel the pain of the voiceless. I feel the pain of the young generation. I am seeing the future of the young generation getting destroyed by greedy leaders and politicians who are not taking any action. And the laws they formulate, they do not even implement it. Let me tell you, why do we have these leaders being so protective about themselves that wherever they have to walk with so many security agencies? You have to stand as civilians there, standing for them to pass across. For me, I see them as the God of this world, the God, because their protection is much higher. Who is protecting them? The civilians, the common people like me and you. Our leaders, we respect you so much, but let us not respect you because you might send someone to kill us. Let us respect you because you represent our voice. Let us respect you because you care about our future, the young generation. You tell us to concentrate on our studies. Why? But you are there depriving us of our future. We come out of school without employment, without conducive environment. Why? Why? I might be born poor, but I have dreams to die rich. But you make me feel sad of becoming rich because the rich out there are discouraging me from even getting any wealth because I know they're going to oppress the voiceless. Every night I get nightmares, seeing the black gases, atmosphere, no social justice. We're not allowed to talk. When someone speaks about the rights of others, the involvement of others for climate action, they have been ignored. But we concentrate on our political interests. Why so? Why? As I said, the politicians, the leaders consider themselves the God of the world. A God does not destroy. A God creates and enhances growth in the world. Peace. A God is that powerful. God creates the universe and gifted it to us. But you, who considers yourself the God of the world, keep on destroying the natural gifted resources. May we all take note of that. And to the youth and the young generation like myself, I want to focus on you as well. We are the young generation. We are the ones that have energy. We are the ones who are gifted with great brains. If the leaders have failed us, let us take action. To remind you, on the theory of Wangari Maathai, a great lady indeed she was. She is someone I carry in my heart wholeheartedly. And she talked about the burning of forest. The forest is burning. The big elephants, lions, and the other animals are there. They don't want to take any action, but a small hummingbird runs to the river, carries water, droplets of water with her beak, and then she sprinkles it on the burning forest. But the big animals are there waiting, I don't know for who to take an action. And then she said, if so many, the hummingbird, it is us, the young generation, and the big animals are the leaders. This is called symbolism in English. Kindly, I'm not abusing anyone, but it is symbolism. I'm a literature student, symbolism in literature. The big animals are the leaders who are not willing to take an action. But we, the young generation, who are the hummingbird, if millions of us come together, then we can stop we can save the burning forest. And the forest is the climate change. The burning forest is the climate change. So the young generation, instead of just depending on the leaders or on other people, this is your place. This is your chance to take action. What can you do? You might ask me that question. Recycle, advocate. How can you advocate? We can pressure our leaders. We can campaign against climate change. We want climate justice. We can come together and implement on what we preach. Did you know that the small droplets of cooking oil that every time, let's say at home, we use those containers for cooking oil. When they are over, there is some droplets that remain within the container. As a young person, you can go when your mom is done with the cooking oil, or anyone at home, or even you yourself, you can go put it on somewhere. Do it for several months. Then you will see how much it will form. Do you know those droplets? You just dispose them anyhow. When rain comes, the oils are washed to the water body, which leads to suffocation of the sea creatures or the water body creatures. A research has been done, and science came up with a research that even plants cry, but their cry cannot be heard. It's not in an intensity that it can be heard by the human ear. A plant crying. What about the animals? What about the sea creatures? What about people who are not recognized anywhere? Even no one knows them where they exist. It's a time we rise again and be hopeful for the best, for climate action. I would like to say by finishing, you will choose either to be on table and discuss about your future and eat well, or you can choose to be on the menu to be eaten well. Thank you so much. May God bless you all, and may God bless Kenya, may God bless Africa, may God bless the whole world at large. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Rukia. Thank you, Lavender, Faith. We had one speaker, we got three. All of you were so moving. I really appreciate that you brought up the issue of sustainable innovation. As we continue to switch to non-pollutants, it is very important that we come up with solutions that can replace what we have going on now. Not only should we implement solutions to mitigate the effects of climate change, but we should also innovate to make sure that that transition is seamless. Is everyone ready to appreciate Rukia and her team for the wonderful presentation? 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, Rukia. Be blessed. I am going to invite little sisters. Wonderful, wonderful sisters. Thank you so much. We really do rise together as one in solidarity. Kelele MC. Kelele MC, are you ready?
Hello, everybody. Am I the only one listening to the echoes? Sisters still singing? I don't know. And I'm grateful being here. I have a piece of paper in my hands, and I'm going to read for you this poem. So my poem is called Brooklyn State of Mind. Here it is. For you who never came, you who shine so bright even in day's countless night, you were called black among the whites that colored your light. Is that the reason why when I was a child I thought that the time then the space was occupied only by two colors? Or is the term ecology of the past that ignore the rapid change in technology so that it is only today that we witness the secret behind photographic cut that back then made invisible the greens that are invisible even now because of your skyscraper? Me who never came to New York but could only see this countless and unmatchable splendor of your great towers only at the TV while song praises rappers. But every time that the electricity goes, he says, she tells a lie to your vision. And when I turn on the radio, I can still picture the same scenario as the equalizer dances the same unequal steps each moment as the beat kicks. She is charmed by her own fantasy, but she could not afford the price of her own dreams. Every time she needs to feed the radio, she finds that she never had much. So she learns to break dance on imaginary sounds that comes from factories or from sound of steps of young girls playing when dogs are barking. Here is life, here is magic, and everything sounds acrobatics. Here is the reason why. The reason is to fear the beats of your own heart, the emotion that magnet around your aura, as your intention being the first note that goes and later manifests what is. The present, the light, the source that gives birth to rivers, a tiny hole, a teeny hole from which emerges the ocean. The passion, the anger that carries your devotion, the power that cannot be owned or be taken away, the thoughts that creates monopolies, the same thoughts that hides your reality, the same thoughts that builds engine so that your barrage could produce electric power, the power that comes from falling rivers, connected to cities through wires, that transports energy yet converted at arrival into pieces and to be shared among people at the price of their own blood. Converted into labor so we can have nothing else than a paper as remuneration. A paper with someone's face who stole my ancestors and drowned them in rivers and ocean. This chain on my neck, but how come didn't you predict that it will serve to link my trauma with the emancipated human that I have turned to be? Better my blank paper is worth to be written on, information that carries history since the first hieroglyphics. And I hope for you that you won't forget the papyrus proof of material on which are printed all current currencies. So if it is to be claimed on the name of truth, tell me, where will you be? Now you see me running through lines, making connection between words, recycling thoughts, and construct beats that carries meditation of generation that have aspired to build more great pyramids. Now is me who never see the light, because where I came from, light only reach the rich at the mercy of poor. Now it is beyond race, tribe, or ethnicity, countries or states. Today I have witnessed change, which is the essence that gives life to poetry. Now it is not anymore that. It will no longer be the cause of immigration implication for visas. Sorry for your green card. I don't need it. The planet is green enough to keep me breathing and living beyond your expectations. The grass is green on the other side, it seems. The only thing I know, few people have the courage to plant seeds and be patient enough to see them grow. Here comes the danger, but my hands are clean now. They are only dirted by the ground, the clay that claimed the beauty. As I create myself, I come to know why others, why not we, why it is first only me. Thank you all. That was it.
Thank you, Kelele. You have given us much to ponder on. Now, please let us appreciate little sisters and Kelele MC for message so far by snapping our thumbs. Thank you.
Appreciate.
Can we please have Daniel Nduva with a spoken word? Daniel Nduva is with Young Mercy Ecology.
Yes, hello everyone. Yes, I'm Daniel. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Daniel Nduva from Young Mercy Ecology. Here I have a poem. I start. Climate justice, the voice of shame and fame. Climate, the backbone of states. This poor climate needs to be reborn. Come close and do beckon. Harming stapon. Air and water pollution. Check my notion. We rise, and say no to fossil fuels. Can you survive without no water? What of fresh air? Life has turned stuffy. The atmosphere is no longer filthy. Wasted resources of source of land and recreation. Why courtesy of coke extraction? We rise, and say no to fossil fuels. You don't know how it feels. Rejection of your own. African youth not qualify. Verifying foreigners to have dominion over it. In calculating poverty in the continent. As it said by the old man, no profit is acceptable negatively. We rise, and say no to fossil fuels. Exploitation of African resources. Fossil fuels filled abroad. Land left bare, no fresh air. Negative impacts. Inspiratory downbursts. Acidic rain enforcing climate change. Irregulating in weather partners. I say, we rise, and say no to fossil fuels. It's my ardent wish to authorities, before the global tarnishes to ashes, let's rehabilitate angry faces. Let's reclaim the natural partner. It's the cry of the universe. It's the cry of the universe. As I conclude my last verse, watch out, poor. Climate is etiquette. We rise, and say no to fossil fuels. Thanks.
Please join me in snapping for Daniel. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Gloria Wambua, you're up next. Oh, I'm trying to ask you to unmute, yet it's still not working. Okay.
I'm sorry, it was the host, but it's okay. My name is Gloria Wambua. I'm the chairperson for the UNIB Ecumenical Choir organization in Kenya. UNIB stands for Youth Network for Inter-religious Brotherhood. And today, as a show and as a proof of solidarity with the Laudato Si, as I am an animator myself, I think that today is a very special day for our young girls and boys who have showed us how they feel about the concern about our environment in this country. And it's really nice to see from Huruma Girls and Shauri Moyo and from the poets, the poets, and I can only just summarize all what they have said. I personally think that we have a role to play in ensuring that we come out from this devastating point of our lives. We can't be the leaders of future, yet we have no future to be leading to, you get? And it's something really concerning when the leaders or our political leaders whom we have elected or whom our parents and our grandparents and our ancestors have elected are using the same whip. When you take to a rural place or somewhere undeveloped and tell them and promise them about development, it hasn't really ever gotten to our minds that the environmental sector is under the same package. And that as they show us on how development and how the place should be developed, they should also be thinking about the environmental sector. If you've looked up around, all these places that have industries or is developed, there's usually somewhere where either a tributary is polluted or the air has too much dust, and majorly you'll hear about respiratory diseases among the infants and the small children. And this is something which we're supposed to actually look about. It's not something that needs maybe a constitution to be implemented or something. No, it's under the act, as we have been told by the Huruma Girl. And I'm actually so proud to see my younger sisters and my fellow brothers doing something about it, seeing that emotion and that pain until you get anxious. It's really encouraging. At the same time, it's really hurting. So I am so proud, so proud, so proud to see the courage and the ideas that you all are bringing forth. And as you can see, if you read about the Paris Agreement, the main aim was to actually, after 5 years, to ensure that the carbon level is below 2 degrees. That was the major aim. And one of the other thing was actually because of the flexibility. They did the peace agreement was to ensure that the 196 countries, excluding the 7 which didn't pledge, were able to be flexible so as to allow the local business people to come up with ways on how they can now do renewable energy or renewable resources into a way that can be also commercialized and so compete with the companies that do not use renewable energies, and so progress to adaptive sector whereby everyone can embrace the nature of using renewable resources for our day-to-day activities. As I finish up, due to, I actually had a short speech because there was supposed to be a clip, and so that you could hear how it is on the ground actually from one of our members who has been growing and living in Dandora and has seen how the plastic environment has really affected him and his family as well as his surrounding, even how to go there and to actually be to become adapted to the smell, to the stench, and it's really sad. It's really sad and it's really hurting. Thank you so much. I think I'll reach there, and I am so proud, so proud, so proud of you. We truly have leaders, and I am so happy when I see someone really being taking the bulls by the horn and the bull by the horns and trying to change something in one way or another. And what each and everyone has spoken isn't taken for granted. I have learned so many things that I couldn't learn with a browser because obviously I'd be somehow lazy to a point. So I'm really happy and I am blessed to see that my country has students and youths who actually care about the nature. God bless you all. Blessings. Yeah. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you, Gloria. You have really appreciated everyone, and you have mentioned that the young people, especially the high school students who are on board, you are all very inspiring. The artists, thank you for pursuing a cause that many people would probably find unconventional, yet it is the most important cause of our time. Thank you for talking about the Paris Agreement and how it needs to be implemented, and that 5 years later, there's still many challenges that countries that enacted it continue to face. And we need to put more pressure on these leaders in order to effect the change that they had committed to doing. So without further ado, I hope that everyone has their candles and their banners close by, because we are going to move on to our candle and message session, or our our climate strike session. So Baba Miti, please take over.
Let me request all of you to light your candles, those ones who managed to carry a candle. For the message of today, as we're gonna rise, I would like you to unmute your microphones all, so that you'll be responding, we rise again. Can you say that? We rise again.
We rise again.
We rise again.
I want to hear from you all. We rise again.
One, two, three, go. We rise again.
We rise again.
We rise again.
Candles. Solidarity with all victims of climate crisis. Kenya, solutions. And for this, we rise again.
We rise again.
We rise again.
We rise this again.
We rise again.
We light these candles also.
We rise again.
Climate crisis, those ones who got pneumonia, those ones who got asthma, those ones who got TB. And as you know, these are people who have been very affected by COVID-19. Because COVID-19 is people who are vulnerable. For them, we rise again.
We rise again.
We rise again.
Rise
again.
Rise
Rise
again with one common vision.
We rise again.
Say that no more want fossil fuel in Kenya and Africa.
Rise again.
Rise again, asking to stop fossil fuel, to phase out fossil fuel. We rise again.
We rise again.
Rise again, asking government
Rise again.
Paris agreement to want their words. We rise again, asking to think about the future. We rise again, asking our leaders to think about the future young generation. This we rise again. As we like to discuss the solidarity of all victims of climate crisis and COVID-19. Want you to feel spirit of compassion, spirit of love and solidarity as we today. Journey after the failure of implementing Paris Agreement by our government. We rise again to declare climate emergency. Rise again.
We rise again.
We rise again.
Thank you. I would like now to give you your message on a paper. Raise it. If you don't have it, keep your candle. If you don't have a candle, take anything or raise your hand. So the message I appreciate. Thank you so much for carrying this message to tell the world that poor have no place. Africa, no community, no society. Tell our leaders that fossil fuel has no place in our dream, in our project, in our future. That we want to go green and clean, that you want a free fossil Africa. Thank you for joining with this message from all over the world. I appreciate the solidarity we are bringing together in building this better world. Thank you, young people from all schools, Shaurimoyo, Garariga, Huruma Girls. Thank you, Young Mercy Ecology. Thank you, Youth Network Initiative for Inter-religious Brotherhood. Thank you, the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. Thank you, Little Sisters of St. Joseph. Thank you, people from Tanzania, Dada Rehema and the team, King Arnold and others. Thank you, people who are joining from Mozambique and Zambia. Thank you, Father John Masumbuko, who taught us this movement of standing for social justice, non-violence movement, but standing for our rights. Thank you for the prayer that unites all of us. Thank you, Mercy Sisters, represented by all young people and Sister Rose. Thank you for the great message you are showing to us, Mama Africa, all the way from Madare. Thank you for joining us in this great movement. Thank you, 350 Africa, for this great support and movements you are building in Africa. We thank you all for the spirit of love and the building greater future. For all of this, I want you to repeat again that we rise again.
We rise again. We rise again. We rise again.
We resist.
We rise again.
We rise again.
And then we
rise again.
After me, we resist.
We resist.
I want you to repeat after me. That's no fossil fuel in Africa.
No fossil fuel in Africa.
No coal in Africa.
We want a just recovery.
We want a just recovery.
We want a just recovery.
We want a just recoveries.
Thank you so much. But before we invite somebody to give us a blessing, I'd like to appreciate our moderator today. Actually, to come back to you. But if
we want leaders of integrity for climate action.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Good. May we invite Father Joma Sumbuko, if he can speak to us, just bless all children who are here. Father Joe, if you can speak, bless people who have joined us here today.
It's really been a wonderful opportunity to see the enthusiasm you all have. And so we ask for God's blessing, for Allah's goodness, and the mercy and compassion of our God to be with you all and to strengthen you, to be courageous and confident of God's presence working with you in all you're doing now, with the good Spirit of God guiding us every day. May God bless you and keep you safe and courageous. In the name of our loving and compassionate Lord. Praise God.
Thank you so much, Father, for the blessing. Father is a Franciscan OFM Father joining us from United States of America. He has been at Kenya, that is why his name is Joma Sumbuko. So he speaks a very nice Swahili, and we like him so much, and thank you so much, Father, for joining us. Amani na wema kwa wewe pia. And appreciation also to Kelly Mortzen for joining us also from US. Appreciation to Judith Russell. He's from Bahai community, joining also from Arizona, US. And all other friends from different parts of this world who joined us today. So Ashley, back to you this so that we can wrap up the program.
Thank you so much, Steve. That session was wonderful and empowering. It's so sad that we had to do it virtually. I miss seeing all of you, in the field. Is Father Herman available to do our closing prayer? I don't think I saw him online. Stephen?
He might not be around.
Let me just hand over the baton to you.
Yes, I would request maybe if Mama Africa was there, we would close with them. The presentation will be the last item. Then Mama Africa is around. Is Mama Africa around? No.
Yes, Mama Africa.
Are they around?
Gararinga, raise your hand if you're there. Oelem, we can hear you laughing. What are you laughing about?
Okay, Gararinga.
Okay.
The human activities include the release of harmful gases from industries, causing the destruction of the ozone layer, and this causes acid rain. And the resolution to this is the recycling of these substances to avoid climatic deterioration. The agricultural fertilizers that we use, when they use, they fill the air due to wind, and whenever it rains, they flow into the rivers, causing diseases to people who consume the water, and can be resolved by using biological methods, use of manure. Vehicles release the gases because most of the times people want to travel in private cars, and it can be controlled by public transport using matatus, all of us, and we are going to minimize the pollution. And the last one is burning papers and plastics, causing pollution to the environment, and it causes breathing problems, and it can be resolved by reusing papers and plastics. And also avoid cutting trees so that our environment will look good, and we are going to conserve even the sources of rivers. That's all we have for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Mama Africa, they are not around, so we don't want to be unjust to any of us. We've already gotten blessing. Yes, we've gotten blessing, but I would like also Sister Rose to greet the children. I know it has been long, you did not go to Ngarariga, and it has been an opportunity also for you to see children gathering together. And this interfaith, we've been really making it together very well. So Sister Rose, tell something, children.
Hi all.
Hi, hi.
Thank you very much, Steve, and all the organizers for this wonderful event. I'm very proud of you, Our Lady of Mercy girls. That is the girls all from Mercy schools. I have had you, Rukia, and your friends and aunts from our girls. I don't know who else was there, and Mercy Ecology. Please let us keep the mercy spirit of taking care of our common mother, our earth, and whatever we are doing against coal and fossil fuel, it's all to help us, and especially you, the young generation, and all of you who are present during this forum. I think it's a real important thing that all of us, like the hummingbird, we do the little we can, in spite of everybody else not doing much. If we all sit down and look at one another, then it would be very dangerous. So let us strive to do good today in a little way, and we believe that if everybody does something, even that little will make a difference. So God bless you all. Our Mercy's associated schools, we have actually been meeting. So I've been to Ngarariga recently. Tomorrow we are going to Huruma. So Huruma girls, make sure we meet, and congratulations all of you. And let's keep our schools green, and not only our schools, but even our hearts, and especially the care of our Mother Earth. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, sister. Ashley, are you able to play a video so that we close this session in a reggae style?
We're sending a letter as a reminder to all our leaders. Yeah, we ask you to honor Paris Agreement you ratified some years ago. All citizens and the children are striking because of you. Agenda 23 still like a dream. We're losing our right because of you guys.
Look at the way the temperature is very high. Everyone will want to have an environment that is very friendly, an environment that is free of pollution.
Vuka Africa, vuka, vuka Kosuku, vuka Africa, vuka, fossil fuels bad. Vuka Africa, vuka, vuka Kosuku, vuka Africa, vuka, cause fossil fuels is.
Why? Cutting down the trees, causing more pollution and then lung infection. People are dying and okay, I'm crying. So we have to try to keep environment high sanitation and then stop corruption. We make a better future for the next generation. We need participation, not isolation. Involve our leaders for a better contribution. We have the right to live Africa vuka to the world. Serikali kuna shida munakuza tu maba, mazingira munasahau tupate maji angalau.
I am the king, of course in my palace nobody can be like me. I'm a champion every day, I got the message. I really need your sense in the moment of silence. Togetherness, let's strike for the change. Africa, vuka to the world. Huwezi leta drought in my hood. My mother linipenda na tena kunitunza binadamu kata miti. Maisha ikawa gumu every time, every day. Watu wanalia bala njaa limewatikisa. I never knew cheki limewaka kama moto. Hey, habari munapata kama ndoto. Wallahi billahi, mazingira nilokuwa kushinda ndoto. Bisali Grat all the way from Rubembe.
We declare climate emergency. We ask you to divert from fossil fuel and invest in renewable energy.
Vuka Africa, vuka, vuka Kosuku, vuka Africa, vuka, fossil fuels bad. Vuka Africa, vuka, vuka Kosuku, vuka Africa, vuka, cause fossil fuels is.
Climate justice is all that we need. Climate justice is all that we need. Stop coal business, fossil business. Climate justice is all that we need. Killing innocent people with greediness or selfishness, and climate justice is all that we need.
Do it for us and the next generation, yeah.
Africa!
Do it for us and the next generation, yeah.
Africa fossil free!
Africa, vuka, vuka Kosuku, vuka Africa, vuka, fossil fuels bad. Vuka Africa, vuka, vuka Kosuku, vuka Africa, vuka, cause fossil fuels is.
Bye bye, Steve.
Bye bye everyone.
Bye bye, ever.
See, bye bye.
Bye bye, bye everyone.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. And thank you to Steve and all. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
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 Bye bye. Yes, we remain together as one. The sisters have said we rise together.
Bye.
Keep rising where you are. Bye bye.
Bye, Madam Rose. Bye.
See you, Sister Rose.
Bye. Thank you very much. And see you soon.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye bye. Our guest of honor.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Oh, Sister
Madam Rose. Bye bye.
Yes.